Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Player's Edge. As normal, we have the normal crew, and tonight we have special guest Andy Villanueva. Andy, how are you tonight?
Good. Thanks for having on, guys.
Well, thanks for coming on such short notice. I mean, we really appreciate that.
I apologize for not looking as attractive as Caitlin is, but
it's kind of hard to do for most people, right?
Yeah, for the most. Yeah, it's you're taking a step down in class with me.
Shawn, are we taking a step up in class with you?
No, I can't compete neither. Definitely not.
How are you doing tonight, Shawn?
I am doing good. Andy, you said, you've done everything in the horse. So what do you think, like, to get somebody who isn't brought up into horse racing, how do we convert those people into horse racing fans, or how do we get them into sport better than what we're doing now?
I think it's kind of a twofold kind of situation. I think a lot of people are interested in the betting aspect of the racing. It's a quick way. It's a good way to make a quick buck if you're with knowledgeable people and you understand it. The problem is that you also have to inform them that it's also a good way to lose a couple bucks real quickly. But the best way to do it is to just bring them to the track and have them enjoy a couple days and let them kind of get their feet wet and let them understand that they'll start enjoying it. And then have them start asking you whether or not they want to go ahead and take it. And I know that a couple of my friends that never played the horses, I've taken them before and they've gotten hooked on it, but they only play it very, very rarely because they're bigger, sports gamblers, and they understand that better than, how to read a form. I think that's the biggest issue is the form can be very daunting to a lot of people if they don't understand the math to it.
Then my other question you said about the paddock, I always ask, I still struggle with that. I guess you struggle more on TV too. When you're there, it's a little easier. What is the couple things you look for in the paddock on horses that you want to play and horses you want to stay away from?
So what I've always recommended people to do is to go and when you're at the racetrack, you always want to see a horse that's kind of on their toes and shows some energy, but they're not getting hot. And by hot, I mean they're not getting sweaty. They're not showing any forms of being stressed out before the race. They're foaming down at the, on their hind ends, in between their legs. You see a lot of foam build up. You probably want to stay away from those types of horses if you're not aware that that horse does that all the time. A good example would be a horse like Zenyatta is a perfect example of a horse. She was always on her toes, but she would get really warm. And by the time she got to the gate, she was pretty much bone dry. But you had to know that she got warm and then kind of calmed down once she got to the track. If you see a horse like, if you're around horses long enough, you'll see horses that show like a really nice dapple to where they're really like shiny, bright, really healthy with their coats. That's a horse you kind of want to keep an eye out and look at them and go, yeah, that's the type of horse you want to bet. And, because that they're getting fed right, that they're healthy, and they're really positive as far as what they look like.
Shiny, happy horses, REM.
Shiny, happy horses. Could be a song.
Yeah, close to one. Terry, how are you tonight? I know Terry's one that if he brought his friends to the track, he's always making money. They would never want to leave.
Oh, no, I don't make money all the time, but I do all right. I've been going for like 65 years, so long time. Anyway, how you doing tonight, Andy? Good?
I'm good, Terry.
Good. Listen, I had a quick question. You've been in a lot of different areas in horse racing business. Which is the area that you like to deal with the most or be involved with?
I actually like this side of it, to where I can try to give information to people as far as what to look for in a horse, what I look for, maybe be able to, have a legacy as far as people understanding why it is that we follow this game so much. I also like being around the horses. It's such a great opportunity to do it. And I also am a tour guide at Old Friends Equine in Georgetown, Kentucky. And one of the things I always tell people is, or the guests that are there that I take around at the end of the tour, is the reason why I come back every single time to do tours is because these horses have given me a living for the last 30 plus years. And not a lot of people can say that.
That's for sure. We have our man Jump Season Tom over there, who had a special guest of his own so far this evening. Hey, Tom, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. Have you ever been to the sales, and do you have any observations of when you looked at when they're to buy something off the sale? And
Yeah,
what would you look for in the sale that would be something that could help us in the future when we see one being sold.
So
what qualities do they have?
So I literally just a week ago I got off the phone with a potential client from California, and he's getting into the business of breeding racehorses. So he's looking for dams for a couple stallions, and he doesn't have a lot of money. He's probably got maybe like 30,000-40,000 that he can spend on the brood mares. And I told him, I said, look, if you want to strengthen the breed, the one thing you have to do is you have to stay away from horses that aren't helping the breed. So, for instance, if you see a Jess's Dream in a sale, whether it's a brood mare or just a baby of his, the likelihood of me telling you to go buy that horse is going to be slim to none, because that horse Jess's Dream never stayed sound. He was pretty crooked. He wasn't very much. He wasn't conformationally correct for me to say that it's okay to do it. A lot of the problems that go on with the bloodstock business is, they play little games with the novices, where if a new person isn't looking for it, or if, let's say, somebody who's an owner goes in and wants to buy their own horse without a bloodstock agent, they're going to turn around and they're going to say, oh, well, that horse looks great. His feet look perfect, everything. But what they're not realizing is they may have added an inch on one side of the shoe, on the shoeing with the babies, to make it look like they're walking properly, but they're really not. And you want to see a horse that's correct and shows a little bit of an engine on the back end, and basically you want to see something that's kind of racy but has enough pedigree that you can help build the breed, as far as that's concerned. So back when we first started, it was very common to see a lot of 4x4s, 4x5s, 4x4x4x5s, right? And that's how you wanted to see it. But now you're seeing it 3x5, 3x4, and to me that doesn't help the breed. I think that hurts it more, especially with as many bleeders as there are in the States right now.
So when you say 3x4x5x3x4x5, for a lot of folks that don't know what you're talking about, what do you mean?
So what I mean is, if you're looking at a pedigree page, you want to be able to say, okay, well, this, like Unbridled Song is, has Fabiano three generations back, and you want to breed it to a Tappet mare or something like that, then you're going to have to look for maybe, I just was looking at Tappet too, or a Tapature, and you want to breed it, Tappet's only 2 back. You want it a little further back in the generation. So when I mean by 3x4x4x3, it's the generations. And what I look for as far as generations is going 4 back. So if I can get like a Mr. Prospector 4 lineages back, which nowadays you can't do very much because Mr. Prospector hasn't been around for so long. But Giant's Causeway, you can go 4 generations back, or you can do that with a war front or anything like that. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for trying to build the breed to where you don't have so much inbreeding that it hurts the game in the long run.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Speaking of the game, I noticed on your Twitter feed that one of the games that you're a big fan of is soccer. Tomorrow night is a big-time World Cup qualifying game between 2 North American rivals, the kings of CONCACAF, Mexico and the United States. So I know we're going to handicap some horse racing, but before we do that, handicap the soccer game.
Oh, wow. So I think for the U.S. to be successful, they can't be on their back feet. They can't be playing the way they did earlier in CONCACAF, where they were allowing like Canada to get the front foot on them. With Mexico, it's such a rivalry. If they can't contain their emotions, especially, I mean, I was in Cincinnati this weekend, and that's all anybody's talking about right now is the World Cup qualifiers in Cincinnati for the first time in ages. So they're like that fan base is just rabid for the U.S. to come in there and just put it to Mexico. But the problem is that they're going to have so many people that are going to be rabid that if one thing goes wrong, a referee makes a bad mistake, a U.S. player or a Mexican national ends up hitting a player the wrong way and tempers flare, it could go wrong for the U.S. So, they're going to need to play disciplined soccer. They're going to need to press early on and try to keep Mexico from building from the back. And if they do that, I think they could win 1-0, but I don't think you're going to see like a crazy score like we did during the Gold Cup or the Nations Cup.
Yeah, I feel like if I know Pulisic got cleared to play, and McKinley is going to play. He's playing really well now over in Europe, now that in the absence of Ronaldo. And I feel like if the one thing that we have is speed, if the kids use their speed, it will work out well for them. But if they get caught up in a technical game, then we'll probably have our issues. Now it's time to move on and do what we do our best, hopefully, and that's make some horse racing picks. We're going to start in race number 9 at Churchill Downs. We're going to do races 9, 10, and 11. 2 of the races are 2-year-olds. I didn't realize when I was doing this. So we got some 2-year-olds, the beginning and the end, and we have a nice stakes race in the middle there. First 2 races are 6 furlongs. They've had 54 races at the distance. 37 of them won by speed horses. It looks to me like about 17 of them went wire to wire. Outside of maybe a little bit of it doesn't really look like there's a big time post position edge. When you do your handicapping, Andy, do you look at things like post position? Do you look at things like track bias, or do you just go straight horse?
What I'll do is I will put a little bit of everything. I never look at post positions because I think post positions are just, I mean, I always laugh because I think there was one statistic at one point in time where it said that the 1 and 2 hole at Gulfstream Park was the place to be for like one entire winter meet. But yet 9 out of 10 times they only had like 7 horses in the field. So the odds of the 1 and 2 hole coming in were going to be a lot better than say the 12 or 13 hole. So I don't really look at post positions. I will look at bias, but I'll look at that on a weekly basis, not a daily basis, because the track usually, especially like Churchill, they don't really change it that often. But like a place like Turfway Park where they have a tappeta and it gets cold, you definitely have to look at a bias as far as that's concerned.
On this first leg, who do you like? Race number 9, 6 furlongs, allowance 127,000, non-winners of 2.
So I was looking at this race and I'm like, you can make a case for Joe Sharp's horse, but I think she wants turf, and that's Lady Danae. I actually went with the outside horse here in Pipeline. She's cutting back from the mile and 16th. I think the pace sets up nicely for her. She can be on the lead if she wants, based on that Kentucky Downs race. And that race from Kentucky Downs was actually a better than luck third place finish, because that track, with the way it undulates at the end, it's really tough for her. It's really tough for speed horses to hold. So I'll give her a shot here at 3-1, because I think 9-5 and 8-5 is just a little not good for me to try to make any money. So Pipeline Girl is my choice, the 7.
7 horse for Andy. Then Terry, who's your top pick, and who do you like behind it, and how do you see the race setting up? I think you're on mute, Terry. You muted yourself. You're still muted.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, Terry.
All right. I like Pipeline.
It's the smartest thing you've ever said.
Thank you. I like number 7, Pipeline Girl, just like the guest likes. Tried a grade 1 at a race at Kingland and failed badly, but now drops back in class and returns to Churchill, where she broke her maiden at today's distance. And the trainer wins 28% of the time when it goes from a sprint to a route to a sprint. And then I like number 3, Girl with a Dream, ran third after exchanging bumps early in the race. And last race, and earned the highest last speed rating, though, tied with another horse. The trainer wins 34% of the time when bringing a beaten favorite back to the race, and her best dirt speed is fastest among today's starters. And she has a bullet workout on November 6th, 48.3 for 4 furlongs, the best out of 29 workouts. I like number 5, Lady Danae. Drops in class today and has the highest last speed rating, tied actually with number 3 horse, and can improve with blinkers today. And the trainer, Joe Sharp, and jockey Tyler Clafione have in the last 14 days 7 mounts, 2 wins, and a third. I'm sorry, in a second. And then number 4, and I'm not going to even try to pronounce the name, but I think it's Murgatroyd. Broke her maiden.
Murgatroyd. It's a cartoon character, I think.
That's it, Murgatroyd.
Like that, right?
Yeah, you got it right. Mm-hmm. Broke her maiden in her last race at Kingland at today's distance, and she's done very well at Churchill in the past races. So,
pretty inexpensive horse. They're only $1,000. Tom, who do you and the Poodle like?
Well, the Poodle hasn't had an opinion right now, but we'll go with again with Pipeline Girl. The only thing I'll add to that, what they've already talked about, is the work after her bad race was 47-1. That shows some sharpness. So obviously she was way overmatched in her last race. The other is that I will point out that her breed does go more for the turf with Air Force Blue than it does on the dirt side. So it'll be interesting to see what she can do in this race and how she can handle it. Number 2, Divine Charger is my next choice. First 3 races around the turf, got a win. And problems in the other race. I like her works on the dirt, 36-3 and 47-3. And then I went back and looked at the breeding. Dam won on the dirt, but she only won on a maiden race. But her best offspring was Gettysburg, who was stakes placed, and he won on both dirt and all-weather tracks. So some versatility there. And, of course, the sires produced more than a few winners. Number 3, Girl with a Dream, is my final selection, and she had no choice again. She had no chance against Echo Zulu, but we just saw in the Breeders' Cup nobody did.
Nope.
She's shown good speed in her earlier races, so I like that. But she had some issues with some bumping, and I think that really may have cost her the last race in winning it.
Shawn, and you, how do you stack them?
Oh, no, we're going 4 for 4. Number 7, Pipeline Girl, returns the same distance she won on debut back in June. And she did decent in the turf race, too, like Andy said. Also, this is the only horse in the field that has a win at Churchill. Just separating the 3, you get more value with the 7, and I found more things for the 7. Then I went the next 2 were the favorites. Number 5, Lady Danae. First race on dirt, dropping in class, adding blinkers. Has been working out decent on the turf as well. This will be her first race on the dirt. And then number 3, Girl with a Dream. If you throw out that middle race, which we all say she didn't really have a chance in the spin away, she gets Rosario for the first time, and Brad Cox hits at 34% after losing as the beaten favorite. So 753.
753 for sure. I'm not going to make it 5 for 5.
I was worried about that.
Yeah, I was kind of worried about that too. The one for the thumb. But I just ran through and looked back and just kind of got a sense of what kind of times they can run at the distance at 6 furlongs. And it just looks to me like the 5 horse is the one that's probably going to be able to be to the wire the quickest, followed by the 7. So I do have Pipeline Girl coming in second. And then I have Girl with a Dream. And then I agree with Tom. I have Divine Charger as my 4th choice. So I'm going to go 5, 7, 3, and 2. And I think I'm going to key that 5 horse on top of some trifectas and exactas and wheel that horse as well, because I look at the fractions. I feel like the horse can dictate the pace. So that's why I went that way. Race number 10 is the Dream Supreme Stakes. Again, 6 furlongs. I mentioned that it does tend to favor the horses that are a little bit faster than others. This is a $300,000 race for fillies and mares that are 3 years old and up. Taking a look at this spot, Andy, what do you think about this race? How do you see it playing out?
I'm sad that Bell's the one in Wisconsin didn't bother to go to Breeders' Cup. But, you know, speed holds here really well. And if Wisconsin and Bell's the one are going to get so much money in here, I'm going to take a flyer on a horse that I kind of think might actually have a really good shot in here. Comes off the turf. City Zip out of a Candy Ride mare. I kind of like the 2 LZ here. She, you know, all she does is go to the front, and she's shown some heart. She's won over the surface back, and yes, it's Ginger is a really, really nice filly. That's that if she were in this race would probably be about the same price. And she's owned by Brilliant Racing. If she gets the lead and nobody goes with her, I think she's going to be tough to beat. I don't think Vintage is as fast as she is. So I got to go with LZ here.
Going to go with the 2 horse. Yeah, I was kind of Shawn and I were having a conversation about this much earlier in the day. We're like, what to do with the 2? That's kind of where we were at on that. Tom, what are you going to do with the 2?
Toss it. I think that it's going to have a hard time with this bunch, and these are graded stakes winners. I mean, there's some good horses in here. Yeah, they were dodging Gamine, but they should reconsider that. The case to do. Yes, because I thought Bell's the one is really been a really good horse this year. She's matured. She's run some nice races. She's worked out very well. Her last race against Club Car at Keeneland was a really nice race. And when she got to the straight and fought to the finish, it was really impressive. She's a grade 1 winner at Churchill, but that's at 7 furlongs, which is interesting. But her record at 6 furlongs is 7 starts, 6 wins, and 1 second. So it's not like it wasn't like winning at 6 furlongs. And let's face it, like Club Car, she had her worst race was a grade 1 race against Gamine in Wisconsin. Well, I'm not real fond of Wisconsin in this race, but Gamine already proved that, we can be dull when we want to be dull. Number 7, Frank's Rocket is my next choice. After the break, got the rail and it didn't finish. It was really the best way to describe that race. It needs to do. It just didn't do enough. The Colonial race I tossed at 7 furlongs. I don't believe it was her distance, and she didn't get out of the gate. So let's double toss it. In the past, Belmont and Saratoga when she was younger, she won grade 2, grade 3. This is a listed at best race, even though we got some really talented horses in here. Her 2 wins, Prairie Meadows and Oaklawn. I like the Oaklawn win better. I think changing back to Florent Giroux is really the thing that told me on her being able to hit the board here. I think that really will help her, and he's done well on her. He's won on her, and he's also placed on her. Finally, number 5, Club Car. Last race, yeah, she lost to Bella 1. But could she have won that race? She had some serious traffic issues. Yeah, let's keep in mind her last 10 starts, her worst finish was 4th in a minor stakes race. So it's not like she's running bad races. She's doing very well. Yeah, she wins her in optional claim or an overnight stakes, but that's okay. It's not a bad thing. And because of her last race, I mean, she really looked good. I mean, she was surging at the end. I mean, she was making up ground, and she just couldn't get to Bells to 1. So I got to throw her in there because I think she's got a good chance.
Well, if you like Bells to 1 off that last race, you got to like that one too, Shawn. Do you like that one as well? Do you like Club Car, Shawn? Or are you going to go? Are you going to make it 2 in a row? Are we going to have another one of these things where everybody picks the same horse?
No, I'm going number 6, Bells to 1. So loves the distance, loves the track. It came down to the pace for me. I wanted to take the 2, but I was just worried how much pressure the 3 Vintage Ready would put on the 2 here. And if she does, then the 2 is not going to win. So I went with the more consistent, the better horse. And then I used number 2 for second. But we'll see what the price is too. I think if this horse is 8 to 1 or not, it is the play, but I think a lot of people are going to see that pace too. And then I bet this horse down. And then I went Wisconsin for third. It came down to Wisconsin or Club Car for me for third. I went Wisconsin. Another horse that does well at the distance in the track, a little better than the 5. So I threw Wisconsin. So I went 6-2-4.
6-2-4. Terry, how did you do it?
Well, I went with Club Car because he closed to run second in the last race at Kingland. Of course, beaten only a neck by Bells to 1. And she likes the distance and the track. You know, these horses, some of them are taking turns beating each other, and I think that it's going to be really hard to determine who's going to get it. But my number 2 horse would be Bells to 1. She's been very consistent, winning 3 of her last 4 races and running second in the other race, and she was only beaten by a half length by Wisconsin. So there you go. They're all kind of getting in there and beating each other. She has the highest speed figure at today's distance, and her best speed is fastest among today's starters. And the jockey, Corey Landry, in the last 7 days, he's had 16 mounts, 4 wins, 2 seconds, 2 thirds. Then I like number 7, Frank's Rocket, has finished in the money 88% of the time and won 47% of the races during her career. And she likes the distance, winning 5 out of 10 races at this distance. And then number 4, Wisconsin, won her last race, beating Bells to 1 by half a length at Churchill Downs. And jockey Tyler Gaffione is in the irons.
I started with Wisconsin, though. I ran through the times, and it looks to me like Wisconsin can run the fastest times. Ran by Bells to 1 last time out. Maybe the horse doesn't do as well fresh as I perhaps would like it to do fresh, but nonetheless, the workouts are okay. Nothing spectacular, but nothing bad either. And I just always go back to Mike Smith in his conversation with us about Churchill Downs and how it's kind of a cuppy track, and you got to pay special attention to how horses run at Churchill Downs. Horses won 4 out of 7 with 2 seconds, so that's not a bad record there. I think it's going to be kind of chalky in this one. Bells to 1 is, I think, between those two, one of them will win. They've been going back and forth, so between the two of them, one will win, the other will finish second. I do like Frank's Rocket because I was really struggling too with that 2-horse, what to do with that speed, and if the horse can hold that speed against the best quality of race horses it's faced. So I have LZ in there as well as the 4th choice. So I'm going to go 4, 6, 7, and 2. And I might I know I have the 4 and 6 on top, but I might really just wheel the 2 because if it gets the right pace set up, as everybody mentioned before, it can go out. If it goes out and gets slow fractions and doesn't get challenged, the horse can go wire to wire. So to me, that's the horse I think that offers the best value from a betting perspective. Final race for us tonight is another 2-year-old race. It's 1 mile at the main track there. Just 1 turn at Churchill Downs, that big long backstretch into the turn. They've run 29 races, 18 of them have won by speed, only 5 have gone wire to wire. It looks to me like from a post position standpoint, the only one that seems to have a little negative against it is the 1 hasn't won that much, but maybe the horse on the rail is the one to beat. What do you think, Andy?
So I think the one is the one to beat in this race. I also think that, the one thing about this type of race is, and the biggest problem a lot of newer handicappers have is when they see that it's a mile distance, they automatically assume it's a route and that it's going to be run as a route. And what newer handicappers need to understand is that when you get a 1-turn mile, it's run more like a sprint than it is a route. So that's something that's always got to be kind of in the back of your mind as far as that's concerned. And when I was going back and looking at this, I'm like, the 1, the 4, all have shown speed going sprinting. Call Me Midnight show any speed at all in her first attempt going 2 turns, and that kind of shocked me. But I like a horse here called Tahoe, mainly because he's shown speed, but he's stopped times. But it's a maiden race. A lot of these horses haven't run a lot. I kind of like the other Cox horse better in Quick to Blame, the 8, basically because it's, he basically purchased it for $65,000 as a yearling. Waited for some time. Gary and Mary West are on this horse. The Wests are now giving horses to everybody that could possibly want them. So if you were to put, I would probably go 4 or 5 deep in here if it was a pick 5 ticket. I would go with Quick to Blame. I would go with Lake Tahoe. I would go with the rail horse, Almanzo. Call Me Midnight, and I would throw in Lake Tahoe as well. Or not Lake Tahoe, the 7 Loon Shot, cutting back from the mile 16th on the sloppy surface.
I think you're copying my notes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. It happens. Shawn, how are you going to play this game?
Well, the interesting thing about Lake Tahoe is the horse's name was actually Gruden, and then the whole thing happened, and the next day they changed his name. So he's not in my pick. She's not in my picks.
Oh, so you're going to blame Gruden for that?
No.
Yes. There you go, Shawn.
No. I'm gonna try my shot with number 10, Brondo. Tries a route distance for the first time. Also gets a new jockey in Joe Talamo. It's been off for a month and a half, but it's put some really nice workouts in. I'm hoping he shows some speed from the outside post. It's kind of hard to gauge the pace projection here. There's some that have shown speed, but then when they go the route, they haven't. So, but I'm going to try number 10. And then I went inside in number 1, Almanzo. First time out of route. Looks like that's what he wants to do. Trainer Brad Cox hitting at 33%, going from back-to-back sprints into a route. I didn't really prefer the rail. The rail's not having much success so far. And then number 8, Quick to Blame, the first time starter in the field that I would prefer. He's been working out really well and also gets Joel Rosario. So 10-1-8 for me.
10-1-8 for Shawn. Terry, how are you going to line them up?
Well, these are babies, 2-year-old babies, and it reminds me about when I used to coach T-ball and the young 5-year-olds. The ones that weren't too good at 5 were the ones that were the best at 8 and 10, and the ones that were the great at 5 were the ones that weren't very good at 8 and 10. But in this race here, I picked a long shot just on top. I picked number 7, Loon Shot. He's been knocking on the door in the last 4 races, finishing second 3 times and third the other time. The trainer wins 39% of the time when going from a maiden claiming to a straight maiden race. Then I like number 1, Almanzo. The trainer wins 33% of the time when going sprint route, and should improve at the longer distance. Has a hot trainer in Brad Cox and jockey with Florent Gros. They in the last 14 days, 18 mounts, 5 wins, a second and 5 thirds. And I like number 4, Call Me Midnight. Finished second, earning the highest last spray speeding and the best dirt speed is the fastest among today's starters. He has a hot trainer jockey combo also, who in the last 14 days have 5 mounts, 2 wins, and a really good workout of 59.4, breezing the second best out of 26. And then I like the first-time starter, number 8, Quick to Blame. Has a good trainer, Brad Cox, and a good jockey, Joe Rosario, and really good works.
Tom, this looks like a race that has your insights written all over it. I got a feeling you're going to pick one out of here and give us a good reason why. Which one do you like?
No, actually, I like what Terry picked. Number 7, Moonshot, comes off a 20 claim. The trainer appears to know what she's doing, because one number that Terry didn't throw out was that her, with maiden special weight, she wins at a 32% rate from 68 starts. That's pretty good. I like the drop back in space. Look, she's got good numbers in that. I mean, she obviously sees something with this horse, and that's why she picked him up. And but then I had to go look at the breeding and see what I could find. The dam never won. She did place in 3 times, and the first foal did win the maiden special weight. So the back end says that she is right for this kind of spot. Number 1, Almanzo. It's kind of hard to pass on that one. They added blinkers in the last race and still got beat. But it was also pressing at 2 wide, and it just didn't have a chance against the winner. But cited again was the sprint to route for Cox, and 34% win percentage from 56 starters, and a 73% in the money finish. So it's kind of hard to pass on that. First race, I think, was useful. But going back, but going and looking at the works, it's like, they're okay, not great. But let's look at the breeding. The sire, and the dam was a graded stakes placed horse. She's produced four starters, 3 are winners, 2 are stakes winners. Americanized and American Gal, they went out in California, and they were stakes placed and stakes winners. Tappet, we don't have to really say much about them. Let's face it, the owners paid $2.2 million in the Falstaff Tipton sale for this horse, for the mare. So they were looking for something out of this horse, and hopefully they're right, or if they're not, well, that's the way it goes. That's horse racing.
Money out the window.
8, Quick to Blame, first time starter. I actually like this horse a little better than the one, but as others have said. And the dam didn't race, but Blame has thrown some nice horses. And at 59-2, handily from the gate is the workout that caught my eye.
So, if you don't mind me interjecting real quick, Kelly Martinez actually cut her teeth at Fauner Park in Columbus, in Nebraska, and she's starting to get a lot of attention here in Kentucky.
Yeah, her numbers look pretty good there. For me, I just look at the one horse, the oldest horse in the field. It's also had dramatic improvement from race number 1 to race number 2. As Andy said, this is not really with a one turn. I view it more as a extended sprint than a route. So I feel like you'll see it carry its speed in its 3rd race, particularly being the older horse in the field. So I do like the fact that it had some really nice workouts since the last time it ran. I went with the first time starter too. The 8 horse is my second pick. A lot of the other horses just trying to find a reason some of the other ones could win. I really couldn't find a lot of reasons for the other ones to win. And I can't find a reason to say the 8 horse won't win. First time out, and you have Joel Rosario and Brad Cox. The two, they don't really team up together a lot, but they have teamed up together 21 times. They've won 7 of them, and they have a positive ROI of 41 cents on the dollar. So you got to like that. And then finally, I also went with number 4, Call Me Midnight. Last time out, top last race speed figure, that hits it around 27%. I do like the fact that late pace number really made a huge improvement in its last race. But then again, I worry about maybe having a little bit of bounce off of that number. But the first time the horse ran long, it had its best second half of the race at any time that the horse ran. So I think the distance suits the 4 horse very well. And then I had a real hard time between the Gruden, or now Lake Tahoe, and Loonshot, between the two. I do like the fact that Lake Tahoe does have some early pace, did show some late pace improvement there too, but still a big fall off last time. Finished behind a couple of these other horses in this race before, so maybe it doesn't get in front of them. So I'll give the 7 a little bit of an advantage over Lake Tahoe. But I do also like the fact that Julian La Peru gets off, I think, the 2 horse, and then that really wasn't a great one, but I know he got off of one of these horses. He gets off the 3 horse to stay on the 6 horse. So that tells me at least he likes the 6 better than the 3. So that wraps up our picks for this Saturday at Churchill Downs. Andy, if folks want to keep up with you, I know you have Goat Zone. Is that a Goat Zone Racing?
It's called the Goat Zoom. So Caitlin came up with it. It's the Goat Zoom Room. It's a podcast that we put out weekly, talking to horse players and talking to people and learning more about them more than we do discussing the races in general. And they could follow the geohayetee handicapping.com, and that's the phonetic spelling of goat. I thought of it one night at like 2 a.m. and put the site up the next day. But I just thought it was a fun play on words, and me being around some of the great racehorses at the farm, I thought it was kind of cool. So that's why I did that.
They want to follow you on Twitter. What's your handle?
A Villanueva 3RD is the best way to get a hold of me.
A Villanueva 3RD at Twitter. Shawn, if folks want to keep up with us, what should they do?
Facebook, Twitter, Horse Racing Radar, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel down below.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit that subscribe button. If you like what you saw, tell your friends about us. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, however it is you communicate, let them know about us. Thumbs up, help the algorithms push us up the search rankings. We'd appreciate that. Andy, once again, we wholeheartedly appreciate you coming in on short notice. And then at the same time, go USA, right?
Yeah, always. Very much so. Thanks, guys, for having me. It's been great.
Fantastic. Thank you once again, everybody. Have a great night. And hopefully all of our picks tonight will end up in the winner circle. And Terry, what do we want to stuff the pockets full of?
Cash.
Absolutely. Have a great Thursday night, folks. We'll see everybody. Tom and I will be back tomorrow to talk about Hong Kong and Japan, 1:00 Eastern, right here on the Horse Racing Radar TV show on YouTube. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.
Good night.